4:32 p.m. on June 17. The purpose of the work group is to identify barriers to achievement for each section of the joint plan, define and assess performance indicators and expected outcomes for each section of the 2018 joint plan, agree on the data elements and format required to monitor progress and compliance, and to report status on a biannual basis. The next section of the agenda is dedicated to continuing discussion and voting on the key performance indicators in Section 8, Transportation. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Shafty.
The Director of Strategic Marketing.
So we have the rest of the time dedicated to transportation. We provided council some year-over-year exhibits. So we updated 8.1H, which was the transport times by tier school locations.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
We added to that.
All right, perfect.
We added to that exhibit the locations of the routes, so that you could see where each route, the school of drop off. We also updated the IEP related service report, which is the students that receive any sort of transportation accommodation. And we've backdated it to give from 2022 to 2025 based on the tabs. And then we did the same for 8.14-A, transportation discipline and monitoring reports dating back 2022 to 2025. We're happy to ask and answer any questions.
Check Kevin's. Kevin, can you, I just want to make sure we can hear you this time. You're blurring the screen.
It looked good over here, I think.
You don't look good. Okay, and you're coming through loud and clear as well. So
Okay, sorry about that.
oh, no, it works. So
There's a spiritual aura around you, Kevin.
exactly, that's what it is.
It's the filter or the background.
I think it's trying to pick up your background and pixel you.
Oh, okay.
So we're happy to go through. We had agreement, or we had unanimous satisfaction of KPI number 1 and number 2 on the voting form, which moves us to number 3. The district shall comply with the transportation accommodations set forth in African American students' IEPs.
We just follow the same structure, go through the KPI, the data points, and just review each one. So we're going to follow the exact same structure as last time. So we'll pull up that the shared document.
And that's helpful.
I can go ahead and share it if that's easy, or share it on the screen.
The exhibit or the rationale document?
The exhibit.
Is there student information on the one you're going to share?
Probably.
Yes, it's just no names.
Does it have ID now?
Let me check. Let me just make sure it's not identifiable.
The one I'm looking at it looks like the names are blurred out.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even see blurred out names. But you can share.
Yeah, I'll share. Let me do that.
Yeah.
That's not.
That's
It's the evidence.
distance. Let me go back. I'm going to go back.
He's opening the requested documentation.
Yeah,
We go to the crosswalk. the most recent crosswalk document for 8.3. So that has all the exhibits in there, and we'll talk through the exhibit, the rationale, and then open them up for discussion.
Okay, no, I'm probably not going to the right one. Is this it?
Yep, that's it. So
There you go, Matt. All right.
8.3, keep going. You went a little bit too far. Okay, so we tried to capture everything in track changes, just so you can see over time what was added. We have the service report spreadsheet that we shared, which has the columns of school grade, primary exceptionality, initiation date, that was also shared, and then a little bit of the rationale on the right side.
Hold on, I messed it up. Hold on.
Perfect. So this is where some of the exhibits will start to overlap, but we have the exhibit A in 8.3 is our policy 8600, which outlines some expectations and procedures associated with transportation. The link to that policy is exhibit B, and then that updated related service report from 2022 to 2025 is exhibit C.
Easy.
I know counts were also requested last time of how many students by race. And that's in that document as well. We wanted to cross-check that the counts, overall counts matched the individual counts from the tabs.
Could you open that one up? Oh, am I interrupting you? I'm sorry.
He's
Nope.
wrong. I'm gonna go to his house.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to bounce around here.
Okay.
That was 8.3C.
Yes, the updated one that has in the file name 2022 to 2025.
Okay. How many students are receiving IEP services for this year?
For transportation,
Yes.
the most recent document Matt shared has the overall counts for transportation. That looks like the static pool from 2025.
Mm.
The recent one I sent you, 2022 to 2025, Matt has counts.
Find that by 14,000.
I think that's the old spreadsheet,
And-
Matt.
Matt, that's the
That's the
old
old
spread.
Okay. Well, I don't know where is the new one.
The one I emailed you.
Yeah, give me a second.
That opens, the last tab is total counts by year over year.
Kevin, now it looks like you are breaking up. Are you trying to talk, Kevin?
No, I'm just,
Okay,
I guess I was puffing my cheeks. I'm sorry. Did Matt get it? It looks like it's slow pulling up.
We can see it.
It's on a screen, it's just on a
Oh.
screen, I've got very young eyes.
Oh, okay.
Can everyone else see it?
Yeah, because I saw a total of 607 and then somewhere else. So what is the total of
for 24, 25.
African-American kids?
total?
694 is what he's looking at. Total count with IEP, 694.
That's not,
Count with transportation accommodations, 166.
What about total number of students? Would that be adding up every row?
Yes. But in both areas, yeah.
Okay.
So if you go back to the tab, like if you just picked one of the years, for example, transport related services for 24, 25. Or 22, 23, that's fine. Okay, so if we look at the bottom of if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the Excel, I think it goes down to like 551 or something like that. Or 607, which you're on 24, 25. Okay. So 607, right? Because the first row is the headings.
Yeah, that's right.
Are these the number of, does every row correspond with a student?
Yes,
In other
but
words-
it's filtered for transportation, so you'll see on your rows that they're not all in chronological order. No, I take that back.
Yeah, that's what it's saying.
But just in response to my question, so every row corresponds with a student. So in other words, there's 607 students in 24, 25 that have IEPs and who receive transportation accommodations. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. So then so 607 for 24, 25. If you go back, Matt, to the total counts by year.
80.
So there are going to be discrepancies. Matt, will you scroll to the bottom? There's a note that explains why there would be a discrepancies because of the platform difference between the IEP reporting, which is the peer platform, and then the reporting in our student information system. So after you read this, we can talk it through.
Yeah, I've read it. It just still wasn't very clear to me why so my understanding is that for 24, 25, for example, based on that Excel that we just looked at, there were 607 students that were receiving transportation accommodations. And according to this chart, there's 473. So that was, it's not off by a couple numbers. It's a pretty significant difference. So we weren't sure how to reconcile those two things. And that's the same for each one of the years. Like,
where's the 400 number?
and they're adding all those across. With the
yeah, so if you summarize, if you
Adding all
sum
the-
up
Mm-hmm.
156
all of-
through 0, you'll see it adds up to 473.
Okay, all right. And let me see the other screen and see if I can help figure this out or get us more confused.
There's 607 kids who have as part of their IEP a transportation accommodation.
Yes.
However, not all parents who are given an accommodation take advantage of the accommodation.
Yeah.
Correct. They drive
So,
their own.
so it's offered. It was considered something, so it was something that the IEP team thought was appropriate, required,
So where's
necessary.
the evidence? So how do you track that? Is there a document where the parent signs saying that we decline these accommodations? There has to be some type of tracking, right? Since it's required by law.
Other way around.
I think it's
I think
yeah,
it's the
I
other
think
way
it's the other
around.
way around, because if you go to the top of this, scroll up. That would be, there's no header on this darn thing.
So you said that total count is 473, and then the total count on the tab is 583. We're providing transportation above and beyond the accommodation of the IEP.
No, so it's
Actually-
actually the opposite. So it's 473 based on this summary chart. 473 students, regardless of race, just everybody. And then if you go back to your Excel, it's 607. So 607 students have a transportation accommodation. But according to the summary chart, you have 473 with a, it says, according to your chart, it says total count of students with a transportation accommodation, 473, and then the
That's
chart
if you-
says the same thing.
That's if you pulled their IEP, that would be the total counts. The tab for transport related service are the actual transportation logs of the students that are receiving transportation service, which is a higher count than identified in the total count of those having it in the IEP.
What does it say?
So,
It says
so how do,
less, well, like, less, I mean, I
They're just-
understand the question and the discrepancy. Okay.
Yeah, if you could just get back to us on that, because there's 3 different reasons that have been given so far, so I'm not sure. You know,
Nice.
I didn't hear that.
Look,
Well-
scroll back. It's hard not being able to control the document. Can you go back?
Go here.
Yes, now just scroll up so I can see more. Sorry,
You're good.
These are actual.
where's the exceptionality?
In the third column, autism spectrum, other health impairment.
Okay, so these are the actual ones that are getting transported. And that's 607.
Just scroll to the bottom, Matt, or up, whichever way you want.
The next page is what? Because it doesn't have a header. Okay. So I see the discrepancy. If you had a header on this one, it would say transportation according to their IEP. Oh, well, it says up there, autism spectrum disorder.
It has a header.
Yeah, and so is it only the kids with autism?
No, because you see SLD. SLD doesn't get,
Where's SLP?
But they are receiving, they are receiving transportation.
yeah, but if I'm ADHD, it's not prescribed in my IEP.
Correct.
I think this is pulling all kids with disabilities who are actually riding a bus. That's why it's higher kid who's required versus their IEP. There's
Right.
no way an SLD kid is going to be there. Speech impairment is not going to be there.
Developmental delay is not gonna be in.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean.
Next to the layperson.
So, 2 things, I think the pool that has the large number of kids is identifying everyone is part of the ESE program, who's actually being transported on the bus. So it's an over-reporting. First, we would have to filter out and say, of the kids on the IEP, which ones are participating in that transportation.
So the other
it probably
document,
would have been easier. It probably would have been easier to like determine, like it wouldn't even been an issue if like on the one that had 653, if we knew like who were the African American students, because then we could just go through and see, okay, it's 166 of them and it's 166 on here. So even if the number was a discrepancy, if we had race in the first Excel sheet, then like we would be moving on from this. It would help out.
but I don't, excuse me, but I don't think that matters here, because I think it's 100% of the kids that their parents want transportation, get it. So it doesn't matter what race you are, if you ask for it, you're gonna get it. So it's 100%.
It actually does matter, because we're looking at the African American students, and let's say that of those 653, only 100 are African American. So that means that we dropped the ball, because we've missed 66 students who have those transportation accommodations, but they didn't receive them because we didn't check to see like if like we weren't particular enough to say, okay, yeah, they are listed here. So just because there's an overage of the number of students doesn't mean that all the students that have the accommodation are included in that number.
I don't know how else to explain it, that it makes it,
It's just repulling the data. If we go back to the 66, that we have the filter that have those students' names on it. Or whatever that number was. It was 166. Of that 166, how many have transportation? It's just it's an additional filter. I don't know if it's a filter that's already there or not.
I mean, I would just note that the KPI is that the district shall comply with the transportation accommodations set forth in African-American students' IEPs. And so if you've got a transportation accommodation in an IEP, compliance would be that you provide it, and that it's available.
Yeah, I think Matt, it's a more fundamental issue. We're not sure what the data is that you provided to us. And we're also
don't know
not
that.
sure where, well, I'm speaking for us, not for you. You guys may have a better understanding. I don't understand what the tabs are saying, and I don't understand where the data on this summary chart is being pulled from. Because you clearly have a very clear understanding of transportation by race, but we haven't seen that data. And so I think that's where the disconnect comes in. That coupled with the fact that the numbers are not aligning between the summary spreadsheet and the underlying Excel document. And I think that's the source of our confusion.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, I don't think that we're arguing, but I don't think it's worth further dialogue. I think if I was able to go back and get the 166 and align 159 or 163 kids that are taking part of that transportation, that would give you what you would need to move forward. I think we just have to go and look at it that specific way. The issue is not that it's just for understanding. These are two different platforms. One is the creation of where IEPs are housed, and the other is the transportation system, so that it's not one data point or one place in which the data is kept. So we're comparing data from two different points. Let me look at the
But
other one.
shouldn't they match?
No, because they're pulling it different ways. Let me look at the other one real quick. They should match if we have the appropriate filters there. Let me just look and see.
curb to curb.
So can you filter on this one, Matt?
I didn't see what you pointed to, sir.
Oh,
All right, six column or
F.
All right, what do you want me to do?
I want you to filter. Is that what's going on here?
there you go.
There you go. You got to filter all the rows. Like highlight on the top of. So to the
This
top.
is killing you. This is killing you, isn't it?
Yes, I really like to be in control. Yes, sir. Go to the top. And go on the header, and copy the header. Refresh, Matt?
How do you refresh? Up here?
Yeah, little circle thing, yeah. Okay, let me look for a second.
Transportation.
Anyone who's curbside should be there. Anyone, if you could filter on that, let me see the headers.
But I don't think you're gonna see it.
Yes, yeah, all right, maybe. We don't have race on here, do we?
No, they don't do a
Transportation.
They don't report it.
Doesn't have race.
No, that's what we were asking for.
It doesn't.
All right, then there's, with what we have here, there's no way of me being able to figure out. Well, if we were able to figure out race, we can go to race and then we can filter out what is an IEP driven service, curb to curb.
But even
say
without, I'm sorry to
harness.
interrupt Dr. Moore, but even without race, could we do it across all groups? like, in other words, going back to our point that the numbers don't align, right? You have 473 on your summary chart of students who are receiving.
Yes, can I just do it over here? That, yes, so if we can get closer to the 473.
SLPs.
I'm gonna take out anything. And I don't know if this is like, oh, I'm just gonna make up my own little columns here.
Maybe they don't understand that like a speech language child doesn't require that in his IEP transportation. So that's not going to be an IEP driven transportation, but it shows up in transportation as they have that disability. So it makes it appear like you have a lot more kids that have IEPs that have transportation needs. But you don't, because the speech language children, and there's another one too.
I don't think developmentally delayed is.
There's
No.
something-
Delayed is another one that doesn't drive transportation on an IEP. So because those two groups then have to be removed to see if you're getting to those numbers. Isn't there a third one?
But why would they be included with detail that says 2 times daily?
Because the transportation report is one system that the state uses. And we use it as well. And the filter that gets us close to the IEP is the primary exceptionality. However, when I taught first grade, I had a student who was developmentally delayed that did not require an IEP.
They write whatever they want to stand there.
So there is an overage of reported students because this report for transportation pulls from, the filter is a primary exceptionality. You do not have to have an identification of a primary exceptionality. That doesn't correlate to mean that you also have an IEP.
I'm sorry if I'm not picking this up fast enough, but the chart that we're looking at right now that Matt has on the screen for us, does this show students with exceptionalities or does this show students with IEPs?
Yes.
Exceptionalities in column C.
Okay, but
And
yes, I understand the exceptionalities are identified in column C, but do each of these children identified on this chart have IEPs?
No.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, that was my question.
Well, they have an IEP, but they don't have an IEP that has transportation in it.
Yes, yes.
They have an IEP, they just don't have one that has transportation.
So if I'm looking at, let's say like this, Rosewood Magnet School, other health impairment, to and from school, transportation, curb to curb. By looking at that, I don't know if I cannot tell whether that child has an IEP.
If they are curb to curb, they have an IEP.
Okay, so
That column underneath, ESE, if you go there, one row down, that student has an IEP, but maybe not necessarily for transportation because it's a speech impairment.
so even though it says that they require transportation, curb to curb, harness or car seat, bus aid or monitor, they do not require a transportation accommodation?
No, for speech impairment, that would not be a required transportation accommodation. However, we provide it. And that's a pre-K student, so that's why those notes are there. They have to be in a harness or car seat and the bus aid has to monitor them because the driver is unable to. The IEP provides the services for that child so that the speech pathologist can service the child, but the IEP doesn't dictate specifically for a speech impairment, you have to provide transportation. We just do it.
So that's the reason why you have such high numbers in one and not as many in the other, because they're over transporting than what the requirement is. Is that
Okay,
correct?
and so then circling back to what Mershawn said then really that total count by year summary doesn't give us what we're looking for, and neither does this spreadsheet, because if you're providing services over and above that number, we also need to ensure that those transportation services provided are non-discriminatory. So every child that's being provided a service, we have to understand the race of the service provided. So I think if you look at the transportation related services, including the racial data for those services would get us to an answer, because right now we actually are just looking at a spreadsheet that gives us, we actually have no information on the services provided and the racial breakdowns.
I don't know
Alright.
if, I don't know if I think this is, again, the KPI is the district shall comply with the transportation accommodations set forth in African-American student IEPs. According to this chart, there's 166 Black or African-American students with transportation accommodations. So the question becomes, how does the district show that it is complying with the transportation accommodations set forth in these 166 students' IEPs? I think we're gonna have to touch base and figure out the way to show that.
Okay, right, but we agree that the transportation related service spreadsheet does not show that.
We don't, but we're gonna try to figure out a way to create something or clarify
So-
existing data.
So why, sorry, but why don't you agree? So if you think that it shows us, show us now where you see it shows then.
No,
If you
because
don't-
no, we
No,
would,
we agree, we're just saying that we're trying to figure out how to do it. That's
Okay,
the
okay,
conversation.
yeah,
How do we
I'm
show
like,
that?
if you see something we don't see, show us, that's all, okay.
no,
Trying to figure it out.
we've been trying.
We'll probably end up having to use VLOOKUP because the platforms, we'll need two platforms to speak to each other. So we'll pull two reports and try and identify it to add race as a variable.
All right. So do you want to move on to
Yeah,
KPI 4?
There's no commonalities in the filters or in the fields. It says ESE bus, ESE capital bus, ESE all bus. All right. So pause on that one, on to the next.
And we have multiple years to compare on that, right?
Next one is the 5.
Or,
I think we're gonna skip number 4 too. The district will maintain a percent of representation of African-American students using school transportation that is equal to or above the percent of African-American students in the district. We can't tell how many. What's the data point we have for that, or is that? What? What do you mean same? Okay, all right, let's go on to the next one. I'm just saying that if we don't have race on these charts, then ultimately there's no way to filter, there's no way to figure that out. Right now, it's currently what's available.
Do you agree, Jody?
yes, we agree that you can supplement that.
All right, I'm at number 5 now. The district will continue to implement a school transportation plan that includes the use of transportation depot stops to ensure equitable access to school choice options. Yeah, for that.
Actually, Matt, will you open 8.4 has a table underneath it that has enrollment counts and percentages year over year, and then that's a public facing enrollment dashboard.
That's the African American students attending by year, right?
Mhm.
Okay, but then I think that we would need to cross-reference it with the African American students accessing transportation to analyze that KPI.
This is that table is percentage of students within each racial, ethnic subgroup utilizing school transportation.
So
Oh, I thought it was just African American students at the school generally.
This is for you to compare total counts.
Gender.
The table embedded in the exhibit is transportation.
Oh, it does. Oh, it does. Oh,
Are you,
it's
are you sure? Because it says enrollment counts. Just at the top of the chart, it says enrollment count. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that was the total African American students.
I think that was on but the one next to it was transportation. It disappeared.
Oh. Did I miss
That's
it?
it.
Am I in the wrong spot or the right spot?
I think you're in the
This-
wrong spot, Matt. You're in the student, you're still in student enrollment.
Okay, I clicked on the wrong one.
And then this is also student enrollment. So are you looking at, do you mean to
No,
look
but I
at
think
the
what I
chart
think
on
Dr.
page 6?
Dr. Shafty was
Transportation.
saying- Dr. Shafty was saying that the chart is what they provided us in the chart is the number of African-American students accessing transportation, but that's what I was trying to get clarity on. Dr. Shafty, is that correct, or is it the enrollment?
I need to look back.
I mean, we could double check by looking at the,
So the citation to this is the transportation data we used for 8.1 that has survey counts by race, by location.
So don't you have to go back up? Yes, just scroll up.
It's in
Is that
the,
what you're looking at, page 6 of the report?
it's in 8.1. If we're trying to say the percentage of African-American students using school transportation is equal to or above, we would look at the survey 3 transportation counts that we use year over year for 8.1.
Well, let's look at it. Tell Matt what to click on.
Yeah,
Transportation duration data. Okay,
it's up
Wait.
here, but I'm having trouble finding a link,
Oh.
a hyperlink.
roll down.
It's not-
I know.
it's
Scroll
not
down, look.
hyperlinked.
There. Is it- yeah, yeah.
8.1?
Well, it's your survey, the ridership.
Let's see what it looks like. Oh, it's shitty girls. This is the ridership.
So I'm just gonna look at the most recent year, which I guess is 23, 24.
I want filter. Damn it. I sort of don't want it filtered, sorry, filtered.
Matt, go back, those are individual spreadsheets that we provided if somebody wanted to backtrack, but if you look at
Okay.
page 6 of the exhibit crosswalk, you have the percentage by year over year survey 3 district by race embedded in the exhibit report.
There you go.
Where's that, Dr. Shafty?
Page 6. Keep going. There you go.
Okay,
Okay,
Is there a total?
through with this one.
So the columns at the top begin 1920. We agreed that survey 3 was most consistent year over year reporting. By location, the counts are there. By Black, African American, non-Hispanic and white, and then the district total percentages are highlighted in yellow at the top.
So those are percentages and the other ones are numbers.
They're calculated from those spreadsheets.
So then you have to go back to the other one and take those two numbers and figure out the percentages to equal this.
You have to count the total.
Well, all you have to know is this, so it says 40% of the students are Black that are transported.
Or well, that's by choice. Ordered, and then
You know, that's the,
that's dating back, but the current data is on next year. They want to.
But that, just that district totals is not appropriate because it includes the charter schools, which it makes it go down significantly because they're all zeros or 45%. One of them.
Total percent.
52%.
total percent of Black, African American, non-Hispanic is 53% of people who ride the bus.
Yep.
Correct.
And the total percent of black population is 18%, 17, okay.
And that's before choice. If you're in 1920, you look at the proposal.
But if
I'm
you,
in 24.
but if you scroll down, you've got a couple of charter schools that give you a 0. So that brings the number down at a 0.
It brings it down, but it's at the end of the day, even with that in, it's still at 53%.
Right,
So
but that's my point, is it,
yeah, no, I agree. And it was 39% in 21. And now it's up to 53%. So let me just say this to Dr. Shafi, that this data is filtered from where?
The raw report that we just had.
So this is the raw report
Filtered from.
filtered that reports that 53% of students are participating in transportation, including charter schools, which they, white flight, it's 53%. And the total black population in the district is what, 19? So is there more data that you would need for that, as I just talked through it? Because this one, the KPI is relatively straightforward.
Are you looking
Did
at,
we get this?
are you
I'm
looking
sorry,
at,
Kevin, go ahead.
Yes.
sounds like you're talking about 24, 25. All I see on the screen is 19, 20.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, Kevin. I scroll down. I was looking at it on paper. Keep going. So 25.
Do we
looks a
have any
little
raw
bit-
numbers?
The raw numbers are in the file.
Okay, thank you.
The only data that we have. So it's up to, I can't see that. Let me not lie.
57 that are transported, 48.65 are choice.
Okay. I don't know what we can do for that one, right?
We just don't have. Ridership, 33 ridership is how we overwhelm transportation.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's showing that maintain.
Okay. So I'm sorry, another question. In this chart, 24, 25, I see choice transported too. So I didn't see it on the previous one we were looking at.
Started choice and one.
So if you go back to 21, the year probably prior, I mean, if you look at 2021, that was probably before we began to leverage the full-on depot stops. You can see it was 39%, right?
Okay.
And only 27% choice and 39% black. So both numbers driving up,
They've gone up,
just like our academic outcomes.
But every year, the percentage of African-American students using transportation is well above the percentage representation of the students in the district.
Is the game, as soon as you take the scores, you get it.
So. I'm sorry, Matt. What'd you say?
No, I
again?
was just saying, I mean, irrespective of choice, non-choice total, the percentage of African-American students using school transportation is well above the percentage representation of African-American students in the district.
Correct.
Question, is that the percentage of African Americans or African Americans in the district, as Matt was alluding to? Because if you're just focusing on African Americans, are you saying 57% African Americans use this, or 57% of the total population?
Just African Americans.
No, so 57%. He says the total impact, is that what that says?
Total percent transported.
Is 57% of the district? That doesn't make any sense.
That's the overall percentage of the district, but then school by school, like
I'm wondering, is that an average of an average?
of total transported. So if your total transport count is 100 kids, 57.3% are, your denominator will be
Oh, hold
total
on.
transported.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong headers. Yeah, okay. All right,
You want to explain that?
So the raw reports will show total counts by location. For counts, the district counts, your denominator will be, so that what we're looking at here, district, that first column is total percent transported. The race that we are talking about is Black, African American, non-Hispanic. So we would look at the total count of students transported. Let's say it's 100. Of the 100, 57.3% would be African American. If 100 choice students are transported, 48.65%. And if you want the total counts, the Survey 3 spreadsheet has the counts by location.
Okay, so our KPI, was it for the percentage of those transported or the percentage of the student population in the
one
district?
we're problem solving around right now. The district will continue to implement a school transportation plan that includes the use of.
No. For that number four.
Or, the district will maintain the percent of representation of African American students using the transportation that is equal to or above the percent representation of African American students in the district. So it's a simple comparison to the total number of students, to the total number of Black students transported, using transportation. Transported using transportation.
So that 57% would not be 57% of the 19% of African-American students.
No, because all 19% of African American students don't need or require bus transportation.
That's a given. I'm just saying the way Matt was saying it, it could be misleading.
Well, sir, I was reading the KPI, so I don't think it can, with respect, I don't think the KPI can be read in any other way and have it still make sense. When we were talking about the percentage of representation of African-American students in the district, that is the number of African-American students in the district over the total number of students in the district. And when we were talking about the percentage representation of African-American students using transportation, that was the total number of African-American students using school transportation over the number of all students using school transportation.
All right, so we got the data, let's vote. Is that the only data that we got? Oh, but we found data in a different section. Okay, so just to be clear, we found data from 8.1, I think it was, but I think this data demonstrates that we're supersonically meeting this KPI.
Could you scroll down a little,
Okay.
please?
Bye.
What you're looking at is obviously by school. I don't need to say that. Yeah, them charter schools, goodness gracious. Give North County Charter a shout out.
National charter.
St. Peter's.
60%, 0%, 0%, 0%.
So can I just ask a follow-up question? I'm trying to reconcile this with the raw data from Survey 3. If I look at Survey 3 and I filter for Black or African American students, it gives me in column C total students and in column D total transported count. So for example, if we look at North County School, looking at, it shows me that there are 32 Black students and that there are 15 of those that are transported. But here it says 0. So I'm just not, again, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right raw data because it seems that the numbers are different.
The 0 is because of choice. Our charter, we don't control choice for our charter schools. The 0 for North County Charter is falling in the second column, which is how we capture choice percent transportation. So imagine Indian River Charter, they have their own enrollment system and don't track choice like we do.
Oh,
So,
it's all-
so to that same point, so then you would look at the total percent transported, which would be 54.5% transported. But it's 15 over 32, which is, so that number should be less than 54%, correct?
15 over 32, that's gonna be pretty close.
It is.
Right, but it's not this, like, there is a discrepancy between the numbers and the percentage. So are these the two, is that spreadsheet pulling from the raw data that you gave us?
Yes.
You have to make sure we're on the right year. Are you looking at 25 and 25 or?
What year are you looking at?
Jody,
Which year?
what count were you looking at? Were you looking at the right year?
24,
Or the
I
same
am
year as
looking
me?
at 23, 24.
Okay, so that's probably the correct one.
Well, go back to 23, 24 here, just
Yeah,
Yeah,
easier.
15 divided by 32 is 46.9.
there we go. Okay,
I got it.
so it's, there we go.
Is that the same year?
she went back to the same year.
Okay.
And she said we get
23,
a gold.
24.
If
Okay.
you
But we also control the charter.
Yeah,
schools.
but I mean, I think she was just using it as an
Yeah.
example to check the raw
Yeah.
file to the.
I got you.
Was her question sufficiently answered?
Yeah, she said.
Yes.
At the very, okay, at the very bottom, you have, I'm looking at Osceola. They have the lowest numbers in the district. It's a huge disparity.
Really, it should be 0.
What year is this year? You have that's 22, okay, 15% and 22. Go down to 25, please.
Go to 25, go to 25, Matt, is that what he said?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think so. Yeah.
25 at Osceola, 21%. Like others have 75% of higher prep with the alternative. Indian River Academy, 42, Glendale, 50. Osceola, why?
Your denominator is going to be smaller at your magnet schools. There are only 56 students at that school in total count that use
Okay.
transport.
Liberty is a magnet, it has 56%. Rosewood, where's Rosewood? They have,
But your total counts are higher. So Liberty has 163 students total using transportation.
And 21 is still higher than the district. I mean, no, the KPI is around the district, not school specific, but 21 is still higher than the 18, 19%.
yes. But my thinking is, I think when we met, I was asking a question before about how many black students were going to Osceola because that is the number one school in the district for many years as far as elementary, or was supposed to be touted as. And then it's kind of further south, so with their equal access to transportation there, and it looks like it's only 20. So how does that 21% read out of the students that ride the bus?
Yeah, of the, whatever the number of students that provide transportation, keeping in mind it's a choice school, 21% of them are black. The numbers will be the same, whether it's choice or not, because it's a choice school. So it's not a neighborhood school. It would be either kids who are being provided transportation based on the unit that they have, and or students who are accessing depot stops.
Okay, Matt, could you go down a little bit? I'm sorry. Could you see Rosewood? I was looking at the magnets now, and that such a significant drop, 50% to 21%. And you say that's because fewer kids take the bus to.
Their parents drive.
Yes, yes, but if fewer kids take the bus, if the numbers lower, you would still have that same sort of percentage rate with black students going to Osceola. It would still be a higher number of black students if we're looking at overall the number of black students percentage-wise.
When a student enrolls, student enrolls, they,
Did Tony get kicked out? He's right there.
we don't,
I'm
once,
here,
Okay, yeah.
once enrollment is confirmed.
I'm here, I'm here.
Is
Here,
provided.
I'm here.
So it's not,
He said twice now. He said twice. It's gonna cause an echo.
I'm gonna mute one of them.
Two turntables in a mic.
Oh, gosh. Oh.
All right, we should be good now. In terms of enrollment, I think that's a KPI yet to come. So, I mean, I think there's some good questions here, but we need to look at the data as a total. That was a nice screen. When we get to enrollment. And stick to the transportation, the KPI itself.
Yeah, I agree with the total of Dr. Moore, but that is Osceola is a concern that's in the back of my mind, and I think I've mentioned that before too. Also, I remember I don't even know what, and this is beyond, so I'll get off this right quick. You know, so some of the schools that only had one black teacher or two, or had two black teachers. I think Osceola did, and they were down to one. If I remember correctly, the low numbers, and then there's always been an issue with student enrollment at the Osceola school. So I'm just wondering about the transportation. All of that other stuff might have been fixed, but this is an anomaly. It looks funny even just in the district, and it just drops real low. But anyway, go ahead, no problem. So I just have that there.
Like to piggyback off of Kevin, though, I know that the KPI is for the district, but if the goal of this whole work group is to kind of eliminate discrimination and things, like we've talked about this before in the years earlier, like you do have to get in the weeds and look at the different schools and to see, okay, because you can have a Gifford that is exceeding with the diversity and the different things happening, right, with the representation, and then you can have a Beachland that has none of that doesn't have the black teacher, doesn't have the transportation. So in order for us to really be effective as a group to ensure that what we're doing here is effective, we do have to look beyond just the large number in the district as a whole, because there are some schools that will be performing well, and there are some schools that are like not meeting the mark at all. Do we just say, okay, well, the KPI is for the district, so let's not even discuss the others? Or do we work together and try to figure out how we can make sure that everything is unified throughout the district?
So I think my point was what you're bringing up about Osceola and everything, I think is going to come up later, right? You were talking about.
I think I gotta be, I think the KPIs are comprehensive in every area of the plan. And you talk about teacher enrollment, there's an area for that, or teacher representation, student representation, and there's associated KPIs with this. And I think the KPIs that we spent a year and a half writing, well, do exactly what Rashawn wants to do in that specific area, and to highlight that there's a problem. When you're looking at the magnet schools around transportation as a whole, you can't make assumptions regarding student enrollment on transportation when the school isn't afforded transportation. So it's a good wondering, but I don't think we have to wonder about it, because we're going to problem solve around it when we get to it. And this data is specifically looking at the total number of kids who are transported by school, and is that number higher or lower than the overall district average. And I think even if we wanted to take the extra step, can you scroll down a little bit? Every school, what was the one that was the lowest? That the school board operates
Osceola.
is in fact over the 18 or 19% given on the week. So in both as a whole, the system, this KPI is met. We didn't write a KPI for this specific area to look at individual school. But if we did, it would also be met. So, I think there's more conversations to be had about those wonderings. And I'm not saying by any means that we don't have those conversations. I just think we have them when we get to those specific areas.
Which I think is
And you
six.
do think, so you think like later we will discuss what Kevin is talking about?
Yeah,
Six.
I think Kevin wrote I think you and Kevin wrote the KPIs to address that is what I think.
Okay.
And 6 and 7, I think that's referring to.
Okay, good discussion. Thank you.
All right, Matt, can you vote us out on this one?
All right, we're ready to vote on 8.4, 8-4.
I am.
All right, I'll let you know, just because there was some concern last time, I used a random generator to come up with
You need to put it on a screen, Matt.
You need me to put it on the screen?
No, yeah, I'm kidding. I trust you.
And so we'll start with Chair Barrenborn.
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Browning. You're on mute, sir.
Yes, with the caveat that I reserve the right to think about Osceola more, and Dr. Moore and I can talk more about the Osceola issue.
Got it. Coming up in 6.
All right.
So what was your vote, sir?
Yes.
Yes with an asterisk.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Shafty,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Can I have a moment to contemplate?
Yes, sir. Superintendent
Yes.
Moore
Yes, he said yes.
and
That's a
Vice
quick
President
vote there.
Hart.
Yes. Mr. Brown said yes.
Contemplating.
Mhm.
Did he say yes? Did I get a yes from you, Mr. Brown?
Yes.
All right.
Oh. It's already gone.
People not being.
Yeah.
I don't know the whole 4-day work week thing. All right, the next one, which I thought we were on, is the district will continue to implement a school transportation that includes the use of school transportation depot stops to ensure equitable access to school choice options. What? I gotta read it. Okay,
So these are some of the these were some of the redundancies, and speaking with Ms. Idlett, a lot of the information she felt could be generated and provided with Survey 3 reports by location, by race. So some additional things she added in here would be the parent handbook for transportation, and that has an explanation of the choice process and who to contact. And then there's, she asked that we share the link to the transportation website, which also has information to call enrollment in its updated in choice and in student enrollment windows. And then transportation is always at our choice fairs with a prominent table that when parents are opting into a school or researching their school, transportation and food and nutrition services are always present at those. And then we really struggle to identify depot stops because all bus stops can potentially serve as a depot spot.
Is it looking at the same data we just had up?
And units.
He's asking which link to open.
Yeah, I'm trying to help Jody out.
I struggled with the link under exhibit 8.5-B, link to public facing school choice transportation information.
Yeah,
I don't know if that one works.
We're
And then I
currently
tried to
migrating,
access.
sorry, we're currently migrating our website, so if I can drop
Oh,
in the
that's,
chat.
yeah, if you could, that would be helpful.
Website,
Some of
Countdown.
we're realizing there's some impacts.
we're a little stressed about it, if we're gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Sorry, and then Dr. Shafter, you were saying that you were having a hard, well, there was an issue with identifying because of the bus stops can be depot spots, can be depots.
All stops can be a depot spot.
Aren't they all depot stops? Sorry, I don't know if it's stop or spot, what word is. Aren't they all depots anyway?
Yes, that's why to specifically identify which one was a
Well,
challenge.
we need to make a code for that movie if we don't. So potentially all would be if a student who lived close to that depot stop requested it. But let me just, I don't know if there's a way to pull that down. The log of. What is that? Oh, that's,
The link, that's not broken.
it's in the, yeah, it's in the chat.
Thank you.
Were we on to 6 or 5:30?
6:30,
Huh?
4:30 to 6:30.
6:30. Oh,
Okay.
Are you getting tired of us?
Don't answer, Kevin.
I can't.
All right. So what are we contemplating? Like what, I mean, and you're saying it's not the choice stop, but it's not because it's a depot stop.
Well, everything is, so we just, above and beyond what we've already shared, it's, some of our exhibits are starting to repeat because.
Yeah, but is there something that says X% of kids use depot stop? I mean, depot stop is a choice. It's an
It
option.
could be captured in your choice percent.
So I don't know how you capture, but obviously with an asterisk on it, when we offered depot stops, participation drastically increased. I don't know how I validate that to them, that that's a true statement, specifically for Black students.
I'm gonna say they don't capture that.
Did you have a baseline?
I mean, the baseline would be 22, 23 in the chart that we were just looking at before. I'm looking at those who are participating in choice. If you're participating in choice, just being honest, in a Glendale Elementary School, that means you're outside of the boundaries. You're not a boundary student. And then you look at the percent of students who are participating in choice transportation. Those are in fact the students on depot stops.
Correct.
We asked her if that's true.
Yes, she just said, report provided NAACP shows how many utilize bus services in total. She says all of our stops are depot stops.
Okay, so just so you, she is reading from, I'm sorry. Mr. Hart is reading a correspondence to Jennifer Idelette. So you want to read that aloud?
She's indicated that the report provided NAACP shows how many students utilize the bus services in total, and all our stops are depot stops as needed.
Can you ask her if the students on, go to that chart, Matt? the ones that are identified as choice are if they're in a choice, identified as accessing choice transportation, is that a depot stop?
Just call
Yeah, you're like, what the hell, you confusing me.
it. Yeah, exactly.
She's gonna be like, what chart are you looking at?
She's
Let her know
looking
it's
at our
on.
survey 3.
Let her know she's speaking.
Hey, you've been a part of the meeting. I'm gonna put you on
We
speaker.
miss you.
Survey 3. So, hold on a second, please. Hold on. Yes. Hello? Okay. Are you available? Okay. Okay, well, you know. Okay, we're gonna, Dr. Morgan, everybody, we're gonna put you on the speaker, so, all right, one second. Y'all gotta know, that's Ms. Allen.
Are you still at the conference?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we will be quick. On survey 3, there's a chart that says total transportation and then choice transportation. My assumption is a regular old Glendale, Vero Beach Senior High School, a neighborhood school, if that percent for choice are students who are accessing a depot stop, because if that's it's a choice program, therefore they're not in the school. Is that correct?
That would be correct. If there's a choice column, those would be the students that utilize the depot stop, yes.
Okay, so Ms. Isla has to go to a dinner or something. Any other questions? I think we're good. That was the question we had. So go back, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
And I was giving Mr. Hart a hard time.
Oh, I know, we know that. Yeah. We know that. I loved it. She says the same thing to me. No.
Okay, take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
So he needs to bring up that chart.
All right, so Matt, you bring up that chart.
Page 6. Page 6, Matt. There you go. If they're in the column, Ms. Idelette shared that if they're in the choice percent transported column, which would be the second one in each bucket by race, that would include students utilizing depot spots.
So I think the best way to evaluate that, so the district, 58% of the students who are utilizing choice transportation are black. Go back to the first year of this, of the data that we have available. 19, that's 2019 to 25. What in the world? It says 2019 to 2025.
It says
Yeah,
20.
because the table goes from 2019 to 25.
Oh, okay, all right, in 2019. Okay, I was reading the header.
We need to get classes.
I know, it's bad.
That's so bad.
It's bad. The choice transportation as a district was 27%. So not in theory, but in fact, the increase of depot stops has had significant influence on participation across the totality of the system, all students. Because you see it go up for whites, non-Hispanic, because we do this for one, we do it for all.
Yes.
So I would submit that data point, both by district and school, gives us a level of comfort that the depot stops are in fact being provided. I need to get LASIK. I don't know.
But then side.
So I'll give a second to digest and see if there's any other questions. All right, hearing none, Matt. Re-randomize your list.
Now we're gonna go backwards this time. All right, for KPI 8.5, Vice Principal Hart,
Yes.
Superintendent Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Hmm.
And the KPI is that depot stops are,
The depot stop will continue, well, the district will continue. The district will continue to implement a school transportation plan that includes the use of school transportation depot stops to ensure access to school choice options.
Yeah,
Sir.
Dr.
with an
Shafi,
asterisk.
Yes.
Mr. Browning,
I'm gonna say yes with a real asterisk though too. And I'm still just a little, concerned, but I just looked at, I know, spare board, we're gonna come to it. I looked at Osceola and they have 2 black teachers and one since 1992. And, so I'm wondering what that population is there and if the depot stops are sufficient to get students to Osceola who have chosen to go down to Osceola as maybe their first choice. So that's my concern, but I'll say yes.
Let me ask this question. Are all students, when they apply to a magnet school, are they all given a choice for a depot stop?
The enrollment application does not have whether or not you need transportation. You are admitted based on,
So it's blind.
it's blind. And
Okay,
then
so,
if you're admitted and need transportation, transportation is provided.
and so transportation is provided for the magnet school and a depot transportation stop is provided.
That's how it's provided.
It's how it's provided.
So the parent
Because they don't
that
have-
wants that school can get that depot spot.
Yes.
Okay. Did that,
And the parent has to transport the child to the nearest bus stop that goes to that school, right? And it,
Correct.
to that school?
But
or
for
to any
magnets,
school?
they don't have a zone, so that would be, they would have to get their child to the nearest bus stop.
And where's
okay,
the
so
stop different?
okay, so a magnet school is any bus stop. But then if a kid was in Fellsmere, and I always use this example, a kid was in Fellsmere wanted to go to Vero Beach High School, then the parent would have to drive them to Gifford.
I think those are two, because there's a major highway.
So yes, and the same thing holds true for the magnet schools. There are buses that go to them. There's less buses that go. But they're running routes for the exceptional education program that is there. So the theory of action remains the same. So, and I think some of that,
So
some of what Kevin is saying
we're
is
being fair to parents that choose a magnet option.
the fact
They
that
have to go a
we,
little bit farther.
and
maybe if it's a magnet. Is that what you're
The
saying?
bus stops.
yes, there's 0 in other districts, we're not going backwards. They provide no transportation for magnets.
Well, we used to not. And so that's what I'm asking. So we've
Yeah.
improved on it.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
We've been-
My asterisk is, it's been bothering me, the 2025 data on Dodgertown. It says 47% transported and 40% choice. That just don't feel right. I don't know. That's why I did the hesitation and the
I mean,
asterisk.
it's gonna be a small denominator and the choice, it may be 4 or 5 kids in that choice option. So I think off the top of my head, there's 15, 16 kids participating in choice. Yeah, so that's why that number is equal.
You know, Dr. Moore, I bring it up because Ms. Bagley's doing a great job, but that was the least desired school in the district. And it's one of those that is racially definable and with all the wraparound surfaces. So it just, 47% transported, 40% choice, it just.
Okay, but we gonna have something to celebrate as soon as these grades come out.
That was my asterisk.
Ms. Smith,
Yes. I won't hold it up. Yes.
all right, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Green,
Okay.
Yes, I have a just because I still feel like the parents having to drive a certain distance if they choose choice or to go to a magnet school is a barrier, but yes.
And Chair Barrenborn.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna be very interested in this next one.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very interested in how we're providing documentation. I'm just being honest. The districts shall ensure that the admission decision for magnet schools or any other special programs shall not be made on the bias of transportation-related concerns.
Basis, not bias.
Basis, that's what I said.
Okay,
That's it, bias?
Yes.
so what we provided here, it was in the first round, so it was in the original shared folder.
Same thing.
We showed the application, our applications are by elementary, middle, and high. We gave an middle school choice application, which shows transportation is not a checkbox for choice enrollment. After choice enrollment, after enrollment is confirmed at a school, then they connect with the transportation office, and if transportation is needed, it's provided. So the exhibit we provided is, at no point in the admittance decision to a school is transportation a factor or a variable. Then the second piece we provided is a link to the 24-25 strategic plan. It is, we actually monitor year over year, and if you wanted to see the historical plans, African-American students utilizing school transportation for choice magnet programming. So the link underneath the table, Matt, if you scroll, it replicates what's in the strategic plan. It's a smaller table. Nope.
Scroll down.
Yep,
I can do the 15th this month.
there it is. That replicates a larger size what's in that link at the bottom of the table if you wanted to see it, but it's connected to Dr. Moore's evaluation. In 1920, it didn't happen. So the baseline is an NA. In 2023, we had 40% African-American students utilizing school transportation for choice magnet programming. And in 2024, we had 46%. This year has not yet, has now concluded, and we could provide an updated percentage. But the data is in our strategic plan in the target section of every iteration of that plan.
Dr. Shafter,
Yes,
do you
sir.
have any data to support, because I'm with Dr. Moore, how many African Americans blindly do the choice, referencing what Mashawn was mentioning, agree to choice without knowing about transportation? I mean, that's weird, strange, confusing, conflicting, all of the above, looking from my perspective.
Do you have, let me ask this question to go with that. Do you have a statement that says, when school choice, like, or whatever, that transportation could be offered?
Let's see.
Okay. Because I see what he's saying.
I think, just paraphrasing what he's saying, is it's not listed on the application as would you like or would you need? Which is, I mean, I guess I see it from both sides, because the flip side is you apply and then we figure out transportation.
But
So
what he's saying is some people may not want to apply if they don't think they can get transportation.
We have transportation on all of our choice window. It's not posted now because we're closing an enrollment window in 3 days, but on the website, we keep it constantly posted for transportation, that school choice transportation information.
But if I wanted my child to go to Vero Beach High School, and I live in Fellsmere, and then I learned that I have to drive to Gifford because that's the nearest bus stop for them to get on to go to Vero Beach High School, then I'd probably not do the choice because I don't feel like driving 30 minutes to take them to a bus stop for school.
that's correct.
And that'd be a very.
Or if I don't have a car, then now I'm not doing choice because I don't have the means to take them to school.
That is also correct. I mean, it's correct.
You can't provide it for everybody everywhere.
No,
It's not physically possible, this budget that we have.
well, it's not even, no matter
With routes and schedule.
Yeah.
16 years ago.
Efficiency of routes and.
I just remember my
Yeah,
son up to Sebastian River and the trip was 55 minutes on the bus. And that wasn't even from extreme to extreme. So that's a very long bus trip.
Well, then we would be other complaints.
Then you can.
Dr. Shafter,
Pretty much.
Yes, sir.
just using a scenario, I'm a single parent of two living in Music Land. And I've heard all these good things by Osceola. Now, I'm a Go Line rider. How do I convince myself to sign my child up for choice going to Osceola based on what Dr. Moore read?
So Osceola is a magnet, so that one will be a little bit different than the Fellsmere Vero example. We would find the closest bus stop in general because there are no bus stops assigned to magnets. So we would work to find the closest bus stop safely, and the parent would have to transport to that location. Magnets are different because you don't have the zone and established routes going in the zone boundary to get to that school. There's no boundary for the magnet.
My scenario was flawed because I took in the fact that it was a school that supposed to be top notch, but any school in that geographical area related to Music Land as a choice,
What's the history?
I'm going across the county, literally. How do I convince myself under the scenario that he read to let my child go to a school in Oslo or in that vicinity? Because you don't tell me in the narrative that I can get transportation.
The application.
It's a barrier.
Yeah.
What I'm bringing up is it's an inherent barrier.
It's, I don't know, I mean, I see it, acknowledging what you're saying. I know we have drastically added the depot spots and the volume of transportation to magnet programs to the extent in which were possible. The other side is that we cannot provide transportation to anyone and to any school. We can offer any school. We can make it as convenient as possible with depot stops. But to say, regardless of whatever the scenario or situation is, or the hardship may be, that transportation will be provided to all schools just isn't something that we're able to do. And I think part of the desire of becoming a choice district is to have good choices in every area of the community, which we call a portfolio of schools, that our entire portfolio has options that are great options across the total system. And okay.
And
so,
I just want to say, Dr. Moore, that we applaud you because we do see the progress that you've made since coming to our district when it comes to providing transportation with the depot stops and working with the magnet. So thank you for that.
all right, I'd like to call this meeting to a close right now.
You know, I was gonna say, Rashawn, thank you for that, because I worked in St. Lucie County where they couldn't do that. They had zone schools, so a parent, when they apply, they have a choice of 3 to 5 schools, and that's it. And you can't get into a school outside your zone, even if you want to transport them yourself. So when I came here and saw that we were moving to this, I was happy. I get that not everybody can go from Fellsmere all the way down to the South County, and nor would you want them on a bus that long. I wouldn't want my child on a bus that long, and he was in high school, and we couldn't do it after a while.
Do you want to see, can we just review the application itself real quick, Dr. Shafi?
Yeah,
Has?
good.
Mr. Brown, I misspoke in the application that we provided the middle school. it has the standard language, and then when parents are applying, they apply through Focus. And it has choice transportation. It says choice school bus transportation will be provided by way of depot stop location, which is not guaranteed to be within walking distance of your home. Parents are responsible for transporting to from designated depot stop location assigned. If your student has an individual education plan and is receiving specialized transportation, please speak with your school person to impact the choice. And if you have any further questions, please contact our transportation department and it has the phone number.
And I'm like 95% sure that on our advocacy document that we log, I cannot think of any dealing with magnet transportation issues. And I literally just looked at it for the year like 2 or 3 days ago. We have late buses early on in the year, but outside of that, very few bus issues. Although I didn't give you that data, we don't have that data. So to go back to I think it was Tony's scenario, it is upfront saying we misspoke. When you do apply to the application, you're applying knowing all of the parameters in which we provide as it associates to transportation, which I think would help increase enrollment. It does. No, the data does. I mean, it does. It does.
It just doesn't tell you the distance, so yeah, but okay.
I mean, we're doing the best we can on that one.
Sure.
I think we're good, Matt.
All right, I'm gonna vote on 8.6. Chair
Can you read it
Barrenborn.
again? Can you read the
Yes.
KPI again?
The district shall ensure admission decisions for magnet or any other special program shall not be made on the basis of transportation related concerns.
All right, Chair
Correct.
Barrenborn,
Yeah, according to what this reads, I say yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Browning.
You showed that application in one of the applications, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
yes.
Dr. Shafty,
Yes,
Mr. Brown,
Dr. Moore, you put fire in me and then you took it right out. Yes.
Yes,
Superintendent Moore,
yes, sir.
and Vice Principal Hart.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is extremely similar to the
Dr.
sixth one.
Smith too. Matt,
Pardon me?
Thank you,
Denise is
Smith.
Dr.
Dr.
Smith.
Smith.
Oh,
Dr.
Miss
Smith.
Dr. Smith, I apologize, ma'am.
The district shall
No
ensure
worries.
we gotta get done on time. The district shall ensure that enrollment within the district shall not be restricted on the basis of transportation related concerns. I was saying basis, in my head, bias on the basis of transportation related concerns. I don't know how you.
The only thing in addition to what we haven't talked about, the enrollment is an online application, and the exhibit we provided is screenshots of the process. So we don't ask anything transportation related
I
in
mean,
the application.
can we just delete this one? Because if you show up at any of our schools, you're gonna be enrolled. I'm trying to think what the basis of transportation related concerns. I don't know, every kid is enrolled. I mean, hey, you know, I'll take a yes. Well, the next one's gonna be interesting though.
Dr. Moore,
Yes, sir.
even if it's athletically related? Or is that another can of worms?
Is that a different can of worms? Is it?
I mean, if it's, he's talking about any school, if you have to enroll in that school based on whatever the procedure of enrolling in that school would be. And you still would be provided the opportunity for choice or a depot stop. And enrollment, not to cut hairs, but enrollment is going to be to your neighborhood school automatically, no matter what, then to open enrollment choice application, one of 3 windows, and then choice based on availability after that. So this question really is more about enrollment than, although it does tie to transportation, but our enrollment is so flexible in terms of if we have a seat somewhere and it's not filled through choice, then it remains open.
I think, Tony, what you're referring to, look at number 10. I think that refers to services, activities, and programs, which I think is athletics, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
haven't been a coach in the district, and you know, that's somewhat of an ambiguous statement. The district shall ensure that enrollment within the district shall not be restricted on the basis of transportation related items. You, Dr. Moore, may get some people that manipulate that. So I'm enrolled, so therefore I can partake of all the extracurricular or whatever that's going on. That's the reason I brought it up, because it can come back to bite you.
I mean, we get that for kids who are not even enrolled. I mean, if you go to a charter school and you know this, they're not a member of the FHSAA, you get to come and participate in the sports back at your home school. Same thing with private schools or homeschool. So we get bit by that bug all the time. Daily. Which not a bad thing. Can't afford it as long as we got them kids to pay for it.
What was that screenshot that Dr. Shafty referred to for the proof for this one?
It's in the shared folder. This one was should be in the shared drive, Matt. Yep. Yep. That's our enrollment application, which doesn't have a transportation qualifier, yes or no, on it. So we begin with enrollment, then if transportation is needed, it's provided. It's screenshots of what the parent would see in the parent portal in Focus.
How many yes if you get through it?
Oh, so it's all electronic.
We have paper forms at the school if needed, but the preference is in the parent portal. it connects us to the parents to be able to communicate further, but if parents have a hardship with a device, we have paper copies in English and multiple languages in the front office at schools.
You also provide computer access too.
We do.
Yeah.
They do.
They need to know that.
And during the Choice for Windows, we provide kiosks and computer access to be able to complete all of these types of paperwork
And support from
and,
personnel,
and support from staff.
because I've seen it. That's why I know that.
Yeah. So if someone has done it on paper, does it, is there somebody who enters the data into the computer?
In the focus, but yes,
Okay.
typically we try and even when they go into the school, many of our front offices have kiosk type devices in the front when you check in. And we try and have the parent input all of the information electronically while they're in the front office.
So there's a database that you can say, okay, this many people applied for Rosewood, or this many students applied for this school. Because if it's on a computer, you have a database, right?
Are you talking about enrollment or choice?
Yeah, for these choice applications.
So that's the enrollment application, just in general. I'm moving to this school and I want to enroll my student. The choice application was the link in the indicator above.
Okay, so this was the enrollment application.
Yeah, then we're at number 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, either way, it's all electronic. Right, that's the question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm not being clear. So it's all electronic, so we could see if requested the number of people who requested for each school.
Okay, it's on.
Yes, it's all in the student information system.
Where is the front page? You left it off. What did you do?
Okay.
Are the forms offered and the application offered in Spanish as well, or just English?
Our platform is translatable, so the parent can go in and select their home language of choice, and it will translate the form in that just by selecting the drop down in the platform. That's why we try and do it in the platform, honestly, because it helps with the translation pieces as well.
How many languages?
Oh, 22.
Yeah.
So it gets just sex demographics, or does it capture race demographics as well?
Scroll to the top. These are the exact questions, so.
Race.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it captures it all, okay.
Can they not have to choose the race?
We have it as a required field.
Okay,
Um,
because that's what the state requires. Okay,
we do.
Yeah,
I was just curious about that.
and for some stuff you could decline, but okay. I was just wondering if you had that database where you can say this many students or this population applied to this many were try to get an Osceola or Rosewood, and here's what we have compared to whatever.
Choice.
Okay.
You get to enrollment, I think those are, bigger and bolder conversations to be had. That's. All right, I think we're good, Matt.
All right,
Bottom up.
bottom up. All right, Vice Principal Hart for 8.7.
Yes.
Superintendent Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Dr. Shafty,
Yes.
Mr. Browning,
Yes.
Let me think about it. I may want to hold off on that, but I'll think about it.
all right. Dr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
and Chair Barrenborg.
Yes.
Good job, Kevin. So given the time, we'll circle back to Kevin. Do we want to look at a date for gets 6:15? I'm going to suggest a date. July 15th, it's a Tuesday. Same time,
I have something till 5.
okay?
It ends right at 5. So,
Would it be here or is it?
it's online, I teach.
Wednesday, the 16th?
I have the same issue, it's, yeah, that week. It's, 5 o'clock, I can be online.
Oh, that works. If you want to do 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
On the 15th, the 15th would be better than the 16th. I don't know, it doesn't make a difference to me, to be honest.
15th, fine, because we have school board meeting that day.
Maybe 5 to 6:30 on the 15th. And if that works with everybody's calendar, I think what me and Dr. Shapley will do in the 3 minutes we have available to us is go through each of these KPIs and say, clean up the data so it's directly linked to it. So it's.
I think that's a good idea.
We have a pattern of what they're looking for, present it in the exact same way that they would want it. And this is, because I would love, I'm not trying to push us, but we have 8 more to go. If we meet on July 15th and the report to the court is on July 31st, if we can tell that judge it will be whatever it will be based on what we think, but I would love to at least get through those other 8 sections.
So we can give a report.
Oh, we can include it into the report. I think she might pass out when she reads it. The 15th is better because,
Agree.
oh, I don't know if they're checking their calendars. Yeah, so and the agenda, I think, would be straightforward as you look at your calendars, because if we did do 1, 2, 3, 4 today, what?
Can you ask Jody?
Would be here.
Can Jody be here or in the meeting?
Like
Coach.
live.
Or Jennifer?
If she's available, I mean, this is a whole month now, so yeah.
Okay.
Just clear in terms of the next comment.
So I'm good for the 15th at 5. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
That works for me.
I think I can make it work.
I'm good. It'll be a long day, but I'm good for that.
5 on the 15th, we're good. And we'll include Jennifer,
So I want to know how long.
5 to 6:30. I mean, so we're still ending at the same time. And I think if we do a better job of kind of pulling to get data together,
The specific.
some of the disaggregation or questions would be a little less.
We need to get it to them early enough, so.
Yeah, we know the rules. We got rules for that.
Okay. I'm sure you get the kind of rules.
Yeah. So if we're good with that, I think we could close it out.
Kevin hasn't voted.
Oh, Kevin, what are your thoughts on 7?
I mean, I need to think about that for a minute, Doc. It's a couple of unanswered questions I'm trying to figure out in my head. I'm a little slow. But can I do a yes with an asterisk on that?
Yes, then asterisk. I'll put it right here.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Although I think so Matt, can you send us home?
All right, we will meet again on July 15th, 5 to 6:30. And unless there's any other business, we're adjourned.
All right. Thank you, guys. Good work.
That's how-